Well, hello there. It's Wednesday afternoon, and thank you for joining me. It's HAL SPARKS Mega Worldwide. Settle in, get ready. It's going to be a load of craziness. Obviously, we're going to be dealing with the classified documents. Oh dear. Suddenly it matters. Suddenly it's impeachable. Suddenly this is a danger to our national security. Suddenly the wheels are in motion, and I'm ready to sail any ocean. No, sorry. Once you start singing it, it's really hard to stop. It's like speaking with a Scottish accent. I have a theory that the Scottish accent was initially a funny voice that an Irish guy and an English guy making fun of a guy who talked weird kept doing, and then they just couldn't stop. It's a theory. Right off the top, I think it is important to mention that Jeff Beck has passed. He had a bout of viral meningitis and passed away from it. It's really sad. The outpouring in the rock world, especially in the music world, about his playing and their love for him is very telling of both the man and the talent. There's no hitch in the get along. Everybody is rushing forward to express their love and sadness at his passing, and so it's a rough one. And I have my entire, like, he obviously predates my introduction to rock by about 6 years. And so it was later in high school and stuff that I would go back and listen to his stuff. But it wasn't the stuff that was, that I was hearing at the time. What the stuff that I was hearing at the time in the late 70s, early 80s was all Jeff Beck inspired. And so many people of that time were always and freely vociferous in their praise, and there was so much honest copying of Jeff Beck's licks that nobody even hit it. Not that you could. Les Brown did the speaker. That Les Brown. I like that. Oh no, that's sad. I like the. I like Les Brown. He was a good man. I liked his speeches and his lectures and that kind of stuff. Good dude. So, two legends in two different fields. And I will say, yeah, it was Jeff Beck. It was not expected. It was not a long illness. He was older and it got him, and that was that. And like every present and past player in the band Kiss is freaking out right now. Like, they loved him and were all about him for years. Like, he was the one person that they would kind of constantly bring up in interviews as an inspiration. So, yeah. Totally. CSL is talking about Les Brown. On his lectures on PBS that he would give is great. As a motivational speaker, I love Les Brown's work. It's all over YouTube. If you should give it a listen. He was a beautiful dude. And it's interesting because a lot of these folks that we get used to seeing on the internet, that we've watched for year and year, a lot of the stuff too that's dated even, that gets put up. There's this idea that they're that age now, and then you get to look at them, as they passed, and you're like, this is okay. This makes a lot more sense. Full lives. Les Brown Jr. Different. Okay. Not the speaker? No. Okay. Les Brown Jr. Okay, that's a good, important distinction. Thank you. All right, we'll figure it out. Either way, love that guy, and definitely sad at the passing of Jeff Beck. I mean, it's going to be something everybody's going to be rocking tonight and playing songs. It's just that's how it works. Yes, he had bacterial meningitis. And it was relatively quick. He was with his family. They said he died peacefully. He was probably unconscious, is what they mean at the time, because it racks your body. And I have to say that there are a certain era of rockers that exist that I think everybody is shocked they made it to their 70s. You know what I mean? Like it's the lives they led. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Sasha. Um, okay, so that Les Brown. Thank you. Um, no problem, Kaling. That's okay. Um, important clarification. Thank you. But anyways, the beg your pardon. That's just something we're gonna all have to take at our own pace and enjoy. And Clapton is no, I'm not a Clapton fan. Jeff Beck, yes. Clapton, I don't care. Honest to God, like I liked Layla and a couple other songs, and that's it. I'm just not. I just don't care. Yeah. Beck, Bogart, a piece. Yeah, that's a great lineup. Jeff Beck did not use drugs and was relatively clean living, and that might be why he lived into his 70s. And quite frankly, that's a factor. Anyways, I recommend his two first solo records. We could call them up, but let's see if I can bring up. Let's see. Truth and Beckola. I always thought Rough and Ready was the second one, but Beckola was in between. But Jeff Beck Group and Beck Bogart and a Piece. Yeah, both of those are great. I mean, basically, like 71, 72, 73, Blow by Blow is great. I mean, it's great stuff. So if you want an introduction, the 72 Jeff Beck Group record is great. And Beck Bogart a Piece is a great album to listen to as well. There you go. Let's see. I'm scrolling through. Okay, now on with the show, if I may. Ladies and gentlemen, as we settle into another crazy year, it's as we deal with the individuals in the right-wing media sphere that we look upon with great humor. There are the scavengers of the jungle floor. There are the flora and the fauna, and then there are the alphas, the key predators of the right-wing media sphere, and their powerful faces that you've come to. Oh yes, sorry, this guy. The true, like when you think of Vikings and Mr. Universe and the Revenant. And then this, like it fits right. And I want you to know that he and the people behind him in no way look like a bunch of people stuck as vice presidents that will always be vice presidents until they're let go because of ageist policies of the company they work for. And also people who will never be happy no matter how much money they have, which I find a particularly hilarious group of people. I think of all, yes, of all the folks that I gaze upon in bemusement, the funniest and most curious to me are those that, no matter how many millions they have, always seem to hate their life. And even the moments of smiling and laughter that they have only seem to come at someone else's expense because it's the only safe laugh they can have because of the circle they're in. Sharks can only, laugh at the death of a fish in someone else's mouth, I guess. They can never laugh at themselves because the threshers turn on them. Yeah, they're apox predators? No. They're Smilex predators. It's very weird. Anyways, this is a man, for those of you that don't know, Sean O'Hannity, this fella here. And he's a guy who thinks that you can talk shit about the country all you want, as long as you're wearing an American pin. Isn't it neat? I didn't realize that. I thought like, you have to be a real outsider that like burns the flag to talk shit about it all the time and have it be expected and kind of, blown off. No, apparently all you got to do is wear one of those, insist on wearing one, make other people wear them, I guess. And you can just shit talk the country and the government of it anytime you want. Not based on, meritorious issues that you have that might actually require some tweaking or improvement or, value added by maybe an idea you have about a way to, to better do things. No. Just abstract fuck it kind of critiques, carry a Blue Lives Matter flag in case you meet a cop that doesn't agree with you and you can hit him with it. It's that kind of shit. It's pretty hilarious. Anyways, settle in, give a like or a thumbs up to the show wherever you are. If you're on Facebook, use one of the several emojis to smile or grimace or cry or whatever they do. I don't think, other than the angry one, which Facebook likes the most, I don't think they make a distinction between the others or value them at all. If they wanted to scoop some of the hate out of the world, maybe they would value the smiling and laughing one more. But they don't. So anyways, and if you're on Twitter, say hi. Share the show. All right, here we go. Now this is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy joins Hannity for his first interview as Speaker. A video that you and I are no doubt going to look back on in a couple of months hilariously. We are just, the joy we'll have.
Us now with more, his first television interview since taking the gavel. He
almost called him a moron just for a second there. Right out of the gate. Let me raise the audio here. I had to stop that for a second. Did you sense that? Did you sense that little bit right there? Watch.
Joining us now with more, his first television interview
with this moron
since taking the gavel, the 55th Speaker of the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy.
You couldn't already be seated? You didn't know this was going to happen?
Welcome to People's House.
Welcome to the People's House. What a goober! By the way, where are the Jan 6ers? Why aren't they in there? How come they don't have Ashley Babbitt's urn? Honest to God, wouldn't it be fucking hilarious if somebody was in the back dressed as the pipe bomber? Come on. Also, Delusional Mama, thank you. God, I hope it's comfy. And yeah, it's going to be so cringy. What a goober. Now, goober, Magoo. I just would love to have somebody just in the back, just Marge sitting there in a white hoodie with black pants and white shoes, just like that. Okay.
How was your week last week?
Because it was rough. He's already done that joke when he took it. That was easy. Remember when he said that? That's the joke. Look, but this guy loves it. This guy wants to be Sean. Our heads look kind of the same.
It was entertaining. I think I...
Dud, as a comedian. Dud. You get some smiles, but most of them are like, this guy. What the fuck you mean by that? That's not fucking... You realize what the fuck... He's Speaker. The rest of us just look like dickheads.
I built a little name ID. I'm not quite sure.
I think that's a good...
Yes, Goober in Chief, Squeaker in Chief, Speaker in name only, Sino.
Way to put it. What's amazing about this, to me, and I may be wrong, but tell me if I'm right. Because I talked to a lot of members. I know a lot of people in this room tonight, and a lot of you, thank you, by the way, for coming. And some of you are not going to be on TV, but you came because you wanted to support the Speaker.
What the fuck does that mean? Don't get mad at me if you're not on screen. What are you backing the fuck out of it now?
But I have a feeling that 222 people agree on Jim Jordan's investigation, and that would be into whether the FBI is politicized, the DOJ weaponized.
They weaponized from Homeland, FBI,
Wait a minute. Homeland Security is weaponized? Why? Because some fucking reporter pointed out 2 years ago that Trump had undocumented workers working at Mar-a-Lago? The fuck? Look, I get the FBI thing, because they always say, yeah. That's annoying.
We've watched him get out of control with no check and balance.
Yes, none whatsoever. I mean, they have to get warrants and shit, but that's not really evident.
But last week was tough. But remember what my father always said. It's not
how would we remember what your father always said? What? We weren't there, dude.
how you start, it's how you finish.
They're just starting.
And let me tell you what happened after last week. Our very first bill, we repealed 87,000 IRS agents.
Okay. No, you didn't. You passed a bill to do that, but it won't do anything. It died right there. Also, you passed the rules package first, which said that every bill you would present would have 72 hours for people to review it, and then you passed a bunch of bills right away that A, they won't go anywhere, don't fucking do anything, so it doesn't really matter. But you certainly didn't review them for 72 fucking hours.
Promised to do that.
We promised to do it. We made it in our...
Not going anywhere. Now I gotta believe that this feller talks like somebody from 1921. Get this feller a hat and a monocle.
In our commitment to America, which you've talked a lot about.
Oh, props. He brought props. So disappointing.
We'll check it off as they go.
I have my own.
Uh-huh. We'll get if we check off 12, you get a free yogurt.
Copy.
You know, plain, not flavored, and toppings are still extra, and tax.
Yeah, but you know what else we did next? We just passed the church style committee that Jim Jordan will run, looking at the weaponization of government. You know,
yeah, he brought that up before you brought up this part, so you skipped over the other part. You had an agenda of what you were going to talk about before he asked you the question, so you're having to double back over the thing that he already, and you're not even referencing it because you're a goober, because that's what this is. We're watching a goober.
We just passed right now a select committee on China, and we got 100.
By the way, no, they didn't. They passed a select committee on strategic competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party. That's not a committee on China. That's a committee on strategic competition between the United States and not China, the CCP. We don't have strategic competition between us and the CCP. We have a strategic competition between us and China as in general, meaning the fucking people of the country and the industries they might create and the work that they might do and whatever the shit, just like we do with almost any other country on the fucking planet. But we do not have a strategic competition with the Chinese Communist Party. They are adversarial. This is a military level confrontation. The theft of intellectual property we deal with, especially on a technological level, that's the CCP. It's not the Chinese people. And that distinction is very fucking important. So, not that he cares.
46 Democrats to vote with us. Pelosi would never allow this. I had an agreement with her, and she backed away the night before. So you want to bring jobs back?
Also, I don't know what the agreement was. Gibberish.
From China to America. You want to stop them from buying our farmland. You want to stop them from stealing our intellectual property. This is where it all starts.
No, it started with the CHIPS Act and the sanctions that they put on members of the Chinese Communist Party and related business people that the Biden administration has already been doing for a fucking year now.
This is only our first couple days in power.
It's a committee. It's what's new. What the fuck? Why couldn't you have presented an idea like unto the CHIPS Act, which they all voted against, but why couldn't you present a fucking bill that talks about specifically what those countermeasures are? It's not like the issues are fucking new. Ugh, like this is, and by the way, the reason I'm answering my own question, but the reason they didn't do it is, of course, because the Biden administration has already done those things.
So the power of the purse, which we'll talk about at length, the power of subpoena, those.
So, yeah, do you get a purse or?
Those are the two big powers you have. Okay, let's focus on the investigation part. Jim Jordan in appropriations. Then we got James.
Yeah, they call it inappropriations now because Jim Jordan's on there. He's the one thing, apparently, there will be no investigations of sexual assault at OSU. I don't know why it's not a priority. It's considering they've got somebody that's got the inside track on it.
Calmer, they'll both be joining us tonight.
Yes.
And he'll be looking into the Biden family syndicate.
Yeah, they're the ones who brought us the Popeye cartoons.
We know, everybody in this room knows one thing, that Joe Biden lied. When Joe Biden said not one time did he ever talk to his son Hunter about his foreign business dealings, we have photographic evidence and evidence of meetings that had taken place and witnesses that will attest to such.
Yeah, no, Bobolinsky was trying to push this bullshit and it's fallen apart multiple times. He's trying to basically be aware. Sean Hannity has a programming agenda for his own show for this year. And what he is effectively, this is a meeting with the cast from the producer. And the producer is saying, here's what I need from you this season. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to hit these notes. Don't think for a second that this is an opportunity for McCarthy to just bloviate himself or that he is somehow in a position of power and Sean Hannity is an open pair of ears. Sean Hannity is telling Kevin McCarthy what kind of programming he's going to need for Sweeps Week.
Got documents that they denied us until we're in the majority. Do you think the president, in more than 40 years of being elected, why do you think he finally went to the border? Because we were sworn in.
No. I mean, I would argue that he went to the border because you guys couldn't say he hasn't been to the border yet, and he takes that away from you. I don't think it was because these guys won and all this shit, I got to run down to the border and cover my ass. It was that they're going to yammer about this, and I'll do it on the first day and just poke that tire.
He knows what's coming.
Yummy.
You got to secure your border, and we're going to use every power we have.
Yeah, Chip Roy just suggested defunding the DHS to do it. Yeah. Yeah, I know, yeah. He said it on the floor at a podium during the, I know.
To make sure we protect this country and look out for the American taxpayer.
I think last week,
also politispeak,
at least a part of it, was Republicans around the country were disappointed in past speakers. I'll give one example, John Boehner. I was disappointed in John Boehner. And I think that...
How do you think he felt about you?
There were people that wanted the assurances. I had interviewed you enough. I had asked you repeatedly. The commitments to America, I have my version right here, which we'll talk about.
We all have the hymn list for today, and we will all start singing at the appropriate moment.
And they wanted to know these investigations were real. What other investigations?
Yeah, you just said these are going to happen. It's going to be a lot of blather, but what else? I want to hear investigations, and because I need segments for like May.
Well, you've got to hold government accountable. For the whole time the Democrats have been in power.
Yeah, that's what he wanted to hear. We're going to audit the Department of Transportation.
All they've done is increase spending. Why don't we have a check and balance?
No. They passed an infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act and gun regulations, bipartisan, and a myriad of other things. 65 other bills. Didn't just raise the amount of money. Nope.
Think of this. When the Republicans were in power last time for 8 years, you know how much discretionary spending increased in those 8 years? Zero. They were in power for 4 years. They increased it by 30%.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the reasons why this happens is because they dig a hole and Democrats are forced to fill it. That is, I mean, we've seen this multiple times.
They went from spending $4 trillion to $7 trillion. We don't have...
We don't have 4. We were spending 4 trillion. I mean 6 in 1 year on top of the 4. But now
have that type of money. They created inflation. So we've got.
They didn't create inflation. COVID and the supply chain we've been living off of, global supply chain, and the existence of it and the limitations of it created the price rise that we're experiencing. Just for the record.
Got to get our country under control financially. How do we do that too? Energy policy. Watch what they've done to make us weak. They made our price of gas go.
Yeah, dude, we've heard this. You got the job just barely. You got the house just barely. We know what the complaint is. How do you fix that? I mean, other than turn on the spigot. What are you going to do? Force these oil and gas companies to use all the leases they've got? What with what? With what? You're gonna like threaten them with taxes? I don't think so. You're gonna fine them if they don't drill? The fuck is that? What are you? What?
Up, but they made us weak around the world.
No, dude. For the price of like 2 years worth of military exercises, we have helped Ukraine decimate 50% of Russia's military. Just the help we've given them for the price of just running our boats out into the ocean and run them around in a circle and blowing shit up and saying, I'll do this if that happens and you'll do this if that happens. For the price of that, Russia's military has been cut in half. But tell me about the art of the deal, Sleepy.
We're going to become energy independent.
Okay, right now we use about 20 million barrels of oil a day and we produce 18. If we get up to where it's 24 or 22, which is where we're headed, the price of a barrel of oil goes dangerously low for oil and gas producers. So they're going to be against it. So I ask again, how the fuck are you going to force them to produce more oil and gas if they don't wanna? They are private companies. Tell me, Mr. Venezuela. Come on, you commie pinko son of a bitch. Tell me how what your plan is to nationalize America's oil and put a shotgun to the head, in the words of Steve Bannon, to the head of oil and gas producers and go, lower the cost of what you're making and make a lot more of it. Like do you really think they're going to do that? What they mean is let them get it from other areas that are cheaper to extract. They think it's Anwar. It's not. It's more expensive to extract from there.
Our border's not secure. But look what they have.
Oh my God. Define secure? What's the standard? We've heard this a bunch. What's the fucking standard? What? What's it 0 people crossing illegally? 10? 15,000 a month? 100,000 a year? What's the number? And at what point are you going to go after the companies that hire undocumented immigrants and let them work under the table, which is the reason they come here in the first place? What? What's the standard? What's the number? What's secure the border actually fucking mean? Tanks? So then what? Yeah, we're paying people to like man tanks at the border all the time? The fuck?
Done to our schools as well, right? We're going to pass a Parents' Bill of Rights. Also, when you think about this as well.
Are you? Will it have teeth? A Parents' Bill of Rights? Okay. And by the way, where's that Parents' Bill of Rights going to go? Where is it going to go? Where? To the Senate? Okay. And then what do they do with it? And then after they do what they do with it, they send it back to you. Can you pass it again? If it even gets there? Oh, yeah. And then, how do you get Biden not to veto it if it's got some dumb Florida shit in it? Or can I float the idea that this is just a bunch of blathery bullshit to pretend you're doing something and just, I guess, like running in place and saying you're winning a foot race.
When we look at checks and balances, you got Comer, oversight, you got Jim Jordan at judiciary, but every single committee has an oversight committee. So
every committee has an oversight committee. Well, thank God for small government. What the shit?
every dollar matters how we spend it. And
right, so we're going to hire someone to spend the dollar and hire another person to write down where the dollar was spent. Dollar for dollar, we're going to have 2 people for every dollar spent in the U.S. government. What the fuck is he talking about?
we're going to be looking at everything. No more blank checks.
Okay, and by the way, you will vote on every appropriations bill independently,
Yes.
all 12 of them?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get to that. I want.
There was a soft blink there. I don't think it's going to work out the way he thinks it is, but
What other investigations?
Okay, first of all,
COVID?
why don't we know where COVID started? They wouldn't have any hearings on it. We would have that.
okay, first of all, it started in China. It started in Wuhan, in the Hebei province. Whether it started, and by the way, this is not about where it started. This is the question that a bunch of these dickheads want to present on directions from Trump, which is there are different. The idea that it came from a lab is kind of loosely talked about. Rusty Trombone says it all the time, and these guys bring it up. My personal belief is it was in the lab, and because of lax security, somebody, excuse me, was taking animals out of there that were dead from sickness and selling them at the wet market because they were rare animals and they come at a good price. That's probably how it happened. And hence the launch site being around the wet market. Why there? And its relation to the lab. Now, the difference is between like a lab leak and a security issue versus the idea that they're really pressing for. Because what they really want to talk about, where does it come from? What they really think right now is that the Chinese government created COVID as a weapon to attack the world, and specifically the United States. And that it was a biological agent, not an accident, not a security leak, not one of 17 different things they were working on at a time and one of them got out. No. Specifically, they designed it and timed it to fuck with Trump in his last year in office. That's what they believe. That's what every Republican, anyways, on that committee believes. Which, I don't know how to break it to them, means that they believe that Donald Trump was president during the worst biological attack in the American history, in world history, you could argue, and his response was to sell the people who attacked us a bunch of food. What was this whole shit about the first thing, most important thing about a president is he's got to keep the people safe? Right. Okay. Anyways, on we go.
Why shouldn't we know what happened in Afghanistan those last 2 months?
We do know. We know exactly what happened those last 2 months. You know why? Because Trump had set a date 3 months earlier and never planned to meet it. Didn't do any of the work. Didn't start evacuating people. Didn't do any of the paperwork necessary. You know why? Because he was going to pull the fucking plug on it in his second term. But he lost.
13 Gold Star families have a right to know. But more importantly, this nation has a right to know so it never happens again.
Yeah. Next time I tell you what. Next time we're in a 20-year war, I'll consider deeply whether or not to vote for Joe Biden, since he'll be, if it takes us 20 years to fall for that shit again, a 140-year-old corpse.
We should know what happened with China.
Yeah, we should. What happened with China? What is it?
Where the money's going. We know the documents are there. I think the country has a right to know that as well. But the weaponization of what the FBI
Anthony
has
Fauci?
done,
Anthony, like, and again.
Well, that goes right into COVID. We have our own ability to oversee that and look into that.
Look into what? His ass? You don't understand. These dickheads want Fauci in jail because they're morons.
I have a lot of questions whether or not he was honest. What did he know? Did our tax dollars through the NIH, was it funded?
I know that one. Hold on. Let's see. I think we have this. Let's see. Where to go here? I've got her in here somewhere. Let's see. 1 second. Just looking something up. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Talk amongst yourselves. How are you? Yeah. Let's see. Hold on. Come on. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. You can do it. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling. Okay, I think it's a documentary. 1 second. I'm looking for interview and it's a documentary. Where the hell is it? I usually have it. It's in my, like, saved things, but for some reason it's not coming up. I hope they didn't take it down. Ooh, I'll be mad. Okay, hold on 1 second. Grumble. All right, we'll have to look up at another time. Anyways, it's the part where Trump is on an Australian television show and the host asks him why Obama stopped the funding for gain of function and Trump started it again. I know that will come up in their committee because a Democrat will put it into the record. And hopefully I'll be able to dig up that piece of video. When they start getting to that point, I'll send them a clip.
Through the, what was it, the Eco Alliance, whatever the group was called.
Eco Health. Know your talking points, fuckhead.
Were we giving money to the Wuhan lab of virology where they...
Yes, we were giving it to them for security. We had stopped giving them money for gain of function research. Trump started paying them for gain of function research again, and then stopped paying for security. Hello?
They knew gain of function research took place, where they knew coronavirus research took place. Okay. So
by the way, coronavirus research takes place in a lot of fucking places, dummy. Every medical school.
So we have that investigation, the Afghanistan.
Please do.
Investigation, the FBI, the DOJ, the Biden family investigation. Now,
yeah, just see, what are they, I want to know what their Thanksgiving dinner's really like.
Now let's get to the issue of finances and money and spending. And why don't you explain how this process now will be different? And we're coming up against a debt ceiling vote, and what that's going to mean. That might be the first test of how committed the Republican Party in the House is to really holding the line on spending. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're not wrong on that. But think for one moment.
Let me talk about something else.
One of the greatest threats we have to this nation is our debt. It makes us weak in every place that we can. We have never...
It makes us weak in every place that we can. Man, when they say Speaker of the House, they're not kidding.
Been at this high of debt to GDP except during World War II.
Except during World War II? Really? You mean at the time like right now, after a worldwide fucking pandemic. World War II was fairly isolated to just Europe and our involvement, but COVID fucked everything. And our debt to GDP ratio is as high as it was. Really? Was it? Really?
And what are we funding? Wasteful Washington spending much of the time. So we think if you had a child and you gave them a credit card and they kept hitting the limit, do you just increase the limit or do you change their behavior?
It depends on what they're using it on. I mean, if that's how much their classes cost and they're paying for like roof repairs and I paid for all my classes, got all my books. Here's my receipts for food. Here's we had a leak in our roof and none of the other kids could afford it, so I had to do that. You know what? You're fucking responsible as hell. I'm gonna add an extra 1,000 to your limit because I trust you and I don't want you to die because you're my kid.
This is our moment to change the behavior to make sure that hard.
Oh, I see. So nanny state is what you're talking about. America and the federal government is our baby, our little kid, and you'll be the nanny. Gotcha.
Working taxpayer, that we're not wasting their money. You're going to tell me there's not waste out there?
No, I know there is. Like investigative committees and passing bills that aren't going to go anywhere.
So we're going to look at every single dollar spent. We're going to audit it. We're going to make sure we change our behavior, that we can balance our budget and make us stronger.
Many years ago, Connie Mack.
And by the way, you can take his words to the bank, and someone will follow you and make sure you went to the bank and make sure that the bank took all the words and the words were put into the proper account, and then you were charged $1 for every word.
Mack from Florida, Congressman. The penny plan. I think probably we need the 25-cent plan at this point because the debt has gone up so significantly. Is that something you think about?
We think about a lot. And this is part of our discussion last week, and it was healthy at the end of the day. You might not like.
They did not have a fucking discussion about the penny/quarter plan, and where every dollar of spending that we're going to try and slice off a penny so that we can pay down the debt. Everything in the budget, we'll go through and we'll find a way to take a penny off of every dollar, and we'll put it towards the national debt, or a quarter, which is never going to fucking happen because you're not going to cut 25% off the federal budget to pay down the debt in one fell swoop, unless you're a fucking moron.
Like to be, but we're stronger today to have gone through
I just wish you would have.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You look like jackasses. You wasted everyone's time. You set up a rules package afterwards, and you aren't following them.
Done it before January 3rd.
Yeah, I think.
And not look like dickheads.
We tried.
I talked to a lot of your friends, some in this room, but I won't give them up.
Look, but I think about at the end of the day, everybody found that we had an agreement. That's kind of what.
No, they didn't. The ones that were voting for you voted present at the end. Trump called and said, vote for McCarthy, and they went, present.
What our rules package does. We go to germaneness. We also wanted to protect ourselves from the Senate.
Do you do Tito-ness, though? That's my question.
They won't do their work. They won't pass any appropriation bills, and then they try to jam us.
Thanks, Joe at DNS, by the way. You're absolutely right. He is indeed a fucking moron. Oh my gosh, thank you, Larry Fig. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, yes. Yeah, really? Is that what we need to, like, solve this? We need to bring in one of the heavy hitters? I'll see. Hold on. I don't know if that's possible in this current alignment of the situation. Here we go. I do think we need somebody to come in and who understands politispeak. Hey man, I'm here. I'm glad to do it. Hey, that, by the way, I want y'all to know that back there in the dude crying in the back corner, the bald feller who looks like the time to make the donuts guy. That dude is my representative. Keelhaul Tompkins, we call him. I don't know why. Something everybody in his frat used to laugh when they called him that. Come on.
Right before Christmas with 1.7
He said white before Christmas. I like this guy.
trillion dollars. You know,
$7 trillion. Holy shit. Somebody do the math on that. What's $7 trillion? That's not $7 trillion because that would be $7 trillion. But $7 trillion? Man, I guess these motherfuckers, you just put an S on anything.
You know what? I went over to the Senate to their lunch and I said, we'll never take up an omni again. You have to pass your appropriations bills individually. We'll pass ours just the way Congress is supposed to work.
By the way, what they did in the Senate, I
terrible.
believe, as a conservative, that was a disgrace.
That's terrible. What they did over there, man, with letting Ron Johnson get out of the room without hiding.
Yeah.
I think, and they knew you were coming into power, and they knew they could have
Why
had
wouldn't they just wait?
Well, because they needed the country to actually function. Dude, why didn't you just wait to get your group in order before you ran for speaker? The shit.
If they waited, then we'd have a stronger hand.
Exactly.
We wouldn't be increasing it. And they increase the baseline where it just adds so much more to our children.
Oh, terrible.
Let's
Come
talk
on.
about a moment. Maybe it comes sooner, maybe it comes later.
Probably later. Well, maybe sooner. Maybe sooner. Never rule it out.
On the debt ceiling.
Okay.
And you know how the argument will unfold.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be
You don't have to tell me, man. You got a leaky roof. It's hard to argue the debt ceiling.
Republicans are shutting down government.
Yep. And the answer is, yes, we are.
I've been around this game too long.
I agree. Hey, man, look at that. It's one of them days. So I agree with Sean Hannity. Shit. You have been around too long. It is time to fuck off lightly.
Government never shuts down. Essential services will exist. Grandma, mom and dad, they're going to get their Social Security check. Medicare is not going to be shut down. The military is not going to be shut down. Now, there might be people that get furloughed, but odds are pretty high.
It's not going to be Sean Hannity. It ain't going to be people at Fox News. Shit, they going to be working double time. Do you realize that when there's a government shutdown, the ad revenue numbers go up 25% minimum at Fox News? Do you understand that, Kevin McCarthy? Okay. Do you want this man to have a new boat or fuck you? You understand? Let me lay this out for you. For Sean Hannity, bad news is good news. And when people are out of work, he works more. The shittier things are, the more people he has to blame. There is no downside for this motherfucker in the shutdown, especially if he knows you're going to go through with it and he can do stock puts right before it and short shit right after.
That when they get their free vacation, they will get back pay.
Oh, is that what it is? It's a free vacation? Is that what that furlough is? And it's guaranteed, is it? Why is it? Why is it? He looked like me. Shit. The only reason it's been that way is because people eventually raise it. If you hold off and don't do it, that furlough turns into the long goodbye, you dumb motherfucker.
But that will be the argument.
Yes, because it's true. Now, what lie do you have to counter the truth?
Now the question will be, it'll become a game of chicken. And that is, Republicans are shutting down the government and they're not willing to raise the debt ceiling. And you're going to say, what?
Well, listen, it doesn't have to come to that. I've already spoken to the president. Let's sit down now. Let's find a way that we can both come together to actually curve the rising debt that we have.
You talked to Joe Biden?
He called me the other day, and this was the first conversation I had with him, right when he went down before.
Wait a minute. When were you going to tell us all that you spoke to him? You double-dealing sack of shit. What are you talking about? You took his call? And you're not hoarse from screaming? Also, curve? What the fuck does that mean? I like my, hell, I got nothing against curves. But you ain't going to, curve the debt. He does mean curb. You are absolutely right. But he's too stupid to know it.
You know who you were?
He did at that moment.
Ouch, come on, that's funny.
No, it ain't. You dizzy fuck.
I don't know they want to talk before.
By the way, you're not responsible for what I say. Go ahead.
But look, we'll work with
You're not even responsible for what you say, you vaping fuck.
anybody, but we're also one branch in here. We control Congress. And you know what? We have funding powers. And we want to utilize it to represent the American public. We don't want to
Right. Even if that means fucking the American public without lube.
Put us in any jeopardy whatsoever, but we don't want to just have this runaway spending what they've.
Okay, good. So basically he's just telling you to go fuck yourself, Sean. That they're not going to jeopardize the fucking economy to hold the debt ceiling. They're going to try and shave off some of this shit between now and then so the fight's easier so they don't have to take it from their right flank. And they're counting on Joe Biden to help them do it. Did that help? Y'all understood that, right? I translated that well?
They've had increasing 30% in 4 years.
How much
no
time
American
do you have
household.
before this debt ceiling?
It's in September, shitheel.
Probably the summertime.
Okay, so you got plenty of time.
We're working on it now, but we're setting the plan to actually put us on to a path to balance. That's what our discussions were all about.
What's the relationship now like with the leadership in the Senate? Because you were begging them not to do this omnibus, to go forward with a CR instead, a continuing resolution. They didn't do that. They had the best opportunity.
Yeah, not the best opportunity because they don't run the fucking place, dummy. And then they lost more seats. And part of it's because of this kind of shit talk. That's why. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know, people, you guys been following this, right?
Well, how's the relationship?
Look, I want to empower the Republicans in the Senate. Utilize us.
Use me. Spank me. Make me your dirty toy.
Schumer runs the Senate.
Gimper of the House.
But it's a close majority. But why don't they work with us? So I'm setting up every committee chair here to work with the ranking Republican over there. Let's talk with our bills together. Let's take their amendments, put them into ours, and move them over there to empower them to be stronger.
Yeah, but you got a rule that says the amendments have to match the content of the fucking bill. So you can't just fucking piggyback it on shit that has to pass if it ain't related because you just set your own fucking rules. Oh, I'm sitting with you. It's rules. Get out of here.
If I sit right now, I've told Schumer, do not send an omnibus over here. If you don't pass...
Do not. There's no time for no omnibus up in here.
Appropriation bills, we're not taking it up.
We're not going to do it, okay? Forget about it until we're behind and we got to supply you with the paperwork that makes the actual things happen. And if we're behind on a couple of them, you can kind of pile those together. And if we're really busy with these fucking Hunter Biden laptop shit fests over here at the committees, we might, I got 200 members plus, but I'm only going to put like 5 of them in charge of everything. So if you don't mind, we might, if we are behind, just omnibus it, fuck it. We'll make the same complaint and I don't know what.
So we'll pass our appropriation bills and then send a continuing resolution. We're not shutting down the...
Oh, thank you so much, CSL. I enjoy your work around here a great deal, my friend. You're a smart feller and cut from the highest cloth, if that's a thing. There was something the other feller was asking for earlier. It's this thing. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. But we'll bring Hal back to talk to you for a second. Let me, if I may. This is, here it is. And I think it's probably on the same holding spot. Yeah, it is. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite clip.
But it's important to know where it came from. It's extremely important to know how it developed.
Fauci was dealing with them, and I guess they were even making payments for certain kinds of research. And I ended that too. I stopped that. When we found out about that, he was doing that during the Obama years. And when I found out about it, I said, can you imagine that the United States is making payments to a Chinese lab? So just that on its face didn't make sense, but I stopped that.
The Obama administration did hit pause on gain-of-function research, though, and that was lifted under your watch.
Maybe if I go to a sleepy pie place, if I close my eyes, I can't see her, so she can't see me.
Why did you allow the gain-of-function research to continue?
Well, I think probably people that worked for me looked at it and at one point...
Eric! Fucking Eric!
They might have done that, but ultimately what we did was we shut it off. We shut the whole thing off, and we stopped making payments that were approved much earlier than our administration.
By the way, the security payments were a regular thing because they didn't want leaks like this to happen. Trump, if look at the timeline of what he's talking about, Trump reinstated funding for gain of function and allowed it to happen, and then cut funding for security. Yep. I've got to like bookmark that one forever. I have to save that one because we keep coming back to it, and it's so good. It's so choice. And it doesn't allow me to grab like a piece, that little piece of it. We need to pull that CSL. We need to pull that little chunk and just have it as a video. I think if we can do that at some point, that would be a great idea. Okay, so I'm going to hold on to that and go back to these guys bullshitting and see if he brings up Wuhan again.
The government, we're doing our work and we're setting it up where the American public is protected, but we're also putting a little cut on there, let you talk, like the penny plan.
You're using the power.
No, they're not. They aren't doing the penny plan. This is the first time he's hearing at it. Look at his fucking face right now. They didn't talk about that. They weren't arguing about... Nobody asked for them to institute the fucking penny plan last week during that bullshit. Matt Gaetz wanted some committee seats, and they wanted the one-person rule to vacate.
That was given to you by the American people.
Exactly.
And by the way, that's fiscal responsibility.
Think about this.
And one of your commitments.
In the election.
Because of gerrymandering.
Look, I know Republicans may not have done well, but in the last two elections, the Republicans in the House did very well. Maybe the governors didn't, maybe the senators, but we...
No, you were supposed to have a red wave, fuckhead. It always tips your way, and the polls were telling you it was going to be even greater. By the way, Biden's fucking rate... hold on, wait. Here you go, hold on. Here's Newsweek. Just coming in on the 10th to just fuck with these guys. Joe Biden's approval rating keeps going up and up. Biden's approval rating has risen to 49.1%, only marginally lower than his disapproval rating of 50.9%. Once undecided voters are excluded. This gives Biden a net approval rating of -2, up from -9 in December of 2022 when the monthly survey was last conducted. Dude has gone up 7 points in a month. And by the way, you don't think all this horse shit had anything to do with it?
Won every single time.
That's why you're in the majority.
No, it isn't. You're in the majority because of fucking gerrymandering in New York and Florida.
Fired the Democrats, and they fired...
They did not fire them. As a matter of fact, they split tickets all over the fucking place.
Nancy Pelosi. Yeah. We are going to stand up for exactly what the commitment said. An economy that's strong, a nation that's safe, a future that's...
A nation that's safe? Which other nations are you considering?
It's built on freedom, and a government that's held accountable.
Let me ask you this question. What did you...
Is that political bullshit speak that I just... Anybody? Yeah.
What do you make of this story about Joe Biden and top secret classified information, especially after what he said about President Trump, especially after the raid at Mar-a-Lago?
Okay, it wasn't a raid, for the record. They came there and there was a search and seizure warrant. They didn't kick in any fucking doors. Nobody came in through the fucking skylights. Stop painting this into like it was the attack on the fucking rock. You're an asshole. Secondly, Trump fought for a year to not show these documents. Fought. Once they were found and they were made aware that they had documents that weren't supposed to, fought for a fucking year. And then he had to be subpoenaed. And then he blew off the subpoena for 3 fucking months. The Biden administration, they were closing down an old office of his. They found a folder that one of the people opened it, saw some documents that were marked classified, shut the folder immediately, contacted NARA, and they gave them multiple boxes of stuff that ended up being all personal items just in case there was anything else in there, and NARA went through it. Yeah, and then they sent people to other areas in case they were like, oh, let's just just to cover our bases. Let's make sure there's nothing in the wind in any of these places in case, something like this is left out there. Handled within 24 fucking hours. No bitching, no whining, none of that stuff. Right, yeah, it was a folder that said VP personal. But then again, who put it in there, nobody knows. Doesn't matter. The minute they found it, they sent it back, and he was like, yeah, have at it. They got all the boxes and just said, you go through it. Whereas Trump, it said, you can come and look at the boxes. You can't take anything today. Come back tomorrow. And then they have video of them moving some of the boxes out into his office. So when they came back to get the other boxes, the other stuff was removed. Like, there's a huge difference. Huge.
Especially after Hillary Clinton. Remember the July 2016 press conference, Jim Comey, no reasonable prosecutor would ever prosecute way more top secret classified information, never mind the deleted emails with BleachBit and the destroyed devices.
No, none of those are missing. All of them have been seen. Emails don't disappear. The destroying phones and devices that might have those things stored on them is good for national security. They're on the servers at the State Department. They were available, always were. It's just goofy.
With hammers and the removal of SIM cards. What does that mean?
That's what you're supposed to do when you leave office with any private devices.
Now, in terms of all those Democrats that wanted Donald Trump arrested almost immediately.
Well, it kind of sucks all the wind out of your sails about going after Joe Biden, doesn't it?
Have to eat their words. But the hypocrisy, think about this. They've gotten away with so much for so long. This was discovered before the last election, just like the laptop. They think...
No. This is real. The laptop is fake. It does not exist.
Think they can lie to the American public.
And by the way, let's be abundantly clear. Even the story about the laptop started months before. The New York Post story came out in October because they were planning an October surprise on this piece of shit. And they knew if they released all this bullshit about the Hunter Biden laptop story in fucking May, by June, it would have all been vetted and they would have gone, this is all bullshit. But they had to release it in October so that you didn't have time. By the time you looked into it and when it's bullshit, the election's over.
They think they can control the media, control companies to shut down if one media company writes about it. They think they're above the law.
The New York Post was never fucking shut down. And Twitter made their own decision about whether or not to share that story. And it was bullshit. And it was manipulation. The story itself is a fucking lie. They never even saw a laptop or the complete hard drive itself. They got printouts, paper printouts from Rudy Giuliani of shit that he'd been sitting on for a year and a half that he bought in Ukraine from some Russians.
Why weren't they raided? Why didn't they have the FBI come?
Because first of all, he's the president right now. So I guess technically speaking, if you believe Trump, Biden could just declassify those things the minute he found out they were in the wind. Right? Right? If that's going to be your defense for Trump, then he can, the president can, retroactively declassify shit because he was president. That's what they were saying about the stuff at Mar-a-Lago. He wasn't even president anymore. Biden is president. He could do it. And even still, they're not trying. They're just like, oh, that shouldn't have gone out. Please, yeah, do an investigation.
Coming in. Why didn't he in 60 Minutes say, well, I understand that because I bet I have the same problem?
Because he didn't. And it wasn't a problem. In the Biden situation, it was, for all intents and purposes at this point, was an accident or was stuff that was classified or was top secret at one point, but is no longer, that was in with other stuff. And they sent it, as soon as they found it, sent it right to the authorities that should be watching over it. Trump fought it for a fucking year. Fought it, kept it, hid it away, and then moved it once they came to claim it. Knew, by the way, in his returning of some of the stuff that he hadn't magically declassified anything that left the office, because if he had, he would not have had to use a red envelope to return any fucking thing. That anything in there, if it was true that he had declassified them, and legally he had the right to declassify the stuff that he had with him, we would all be able to get a FOIA request and just get all those things. unredacted. Right? He wouldn't even need the originals. Anybody who wants them could just get them. Jesus Christ.
Did Barack Obama have some of this when he was writing his book? Does Hillary Clinton have some? And you know what? All those people have been in government for years. President Trump.
So have you, fucko.
Just ran for president. You think he knew everything? You think he went and moved his own boxes?
Hey, fuckhead. He just lost his second bid. He was president for 4 fucking years. I thought he had the best words and he was a quick study and the smartest fucking guy ever. Honestly, what do you expect? Trump to learn anything about being president in 4 fucking years?
And you know what? They were locked away.
No, they weren't.
Biden's were not.
Yes, they were.
And how many years after did he have them?
The FBI actually went to Mar-a-Lago. They looked at all those documents. They asked for a padlock. The padlock request was granted.
Yeah, do we have any evidence that it was ever closed, the padlock? Fucking padlock, by the way. Padlock. No spy can bust through a padlock. You kidding me? It's a padlock.
And then all of a sudden a raid.
They think the law doesn't
All of a sudden, it was a year and 3 fucking months.
apply to them.
Yes, they do believe the law applies to them. That's why his lawyers shut the folder immediately, gave it straight to Nero without looking anymore, and gave them the rest of the shit to sift through on their own so that they wouldn't have to mix through, I maybe saw some stuff I wasn't supposed to see or whatever. You guys grab whatever's in there. And then they went looking other places to make sure there wasn't any other stuff and when they did find a couple things, they contacted the National Records Office again. Oh my God.
They think they write their own. And that's what infuriates the American public.
It is. I'm mad. Excuse me. I'm pissed.
America believes in fairness and honesty.
And that's why I'd like to introduce our newest congressman, George Santos. George, if you could, sit on my knee. You've met George Schlapp, or Matt Schlapp, haven't you?
That's not what we're getting from him.
And we're getting, again, honest to fucking God. The party of George Santos is going to lecture us all on honesty now?
We are just getting things started. And
oh boy, let's get it started.
On that note, we couldn't.
On that note, we'll be back right after this.
Continue with Speaker McCarthy. He'll stay with us. We'll check in with Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, and
Skeeter Scalise.
Well, the big investigations will be James Comer and Jim Jordan. They will join us and much more as we continue.
So I'm totally excited. By the way, there's a second part to this, and you're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. It's great that you're here. This is kind of an amazing insight into the right-wing media sphere. Watching Sean Hannity basically dictating to Republicans, this is the kind of programming you are going to be giving me this year. I don't care if it goes anywhere. I don't care if it lands. I'll make it look like you won even if you lose. And I don't care that it's a waste of fucking taxpayer dollars and it's Benghazi all over again. That doesn't matter. Benghazi was great for Fox. It was awesome. And all these other things, it will be just as good. C4 Miles, we spoke about that at the beginning. We did, indeed. Yeah. So, all right. Next chapter 2 of Sean Hannity's Gaggle OP.
We continue tonight reporting from Washington, D.C., the swamp, as I've been saying.
With a bunch of people who are old because they've been working in Washington for a long fucking time. Again, you don't get any points for calling it the swamp anymore, you hack son of a bitch. I am tired of it. Does anybody go to an accounting firm and run an efficiency audit on it if you can? And tell me that it's any different and you couldn't call it a swamp because people have cups on their desks, and so this lady has a plant, and there's a hang in there cat fucking poster, and it's distracting people from the job they should be doing. Half the clients are off-book LLCs, and I blah. It's so fucking lazy.
House Republicans now unified
behind their section of the swamp, which they have been digging all weekend to make deeper. They're hoping to turn the swamp into a lake. It's a new approach.
an agenda to hold the Biden administration accountable on everything from the border to the origins of COVID, the FBI. Are they politicized? Is the DOJ weaponized? And we continue now with the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, along with House Majority Leader Steve Scalise joins us, and House Republican Conference Chair Elise Stefanik. Good to
Did she get one of her eyes lowered since the last time? Or have I been looking at her in a mirror forever? Is this like, this is what happens when there's a picture swap. Is it just me?
to see all. You guys all happy with your leadership now?
Please clap. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Hannity's please clap moment. Please tell me that one of them has a beach ball in their nose.
If not, I was thinking we could always hold another vote or two.
You. Shut up.
I think I've had enough.
You had enough.
Oh, we don't need to do that again. Motion to vacate. Motherfucker.
We've known each other for a long time, Steve.
Too long.
And this is, to me, a pivotal moment for the country. I know, for example, I do 3 hours of radio every day, and I hear from my
Yes. And you managed to say nothing. It's amazing. Even Glenn Beck is in awe.
audience every day, and they are genuinely frightened about the economy, about energy, about open borders.
That's because your entire job, Sean Hannity, is to scare the fuck out of your listeners. That's the gig. Russell Brand says the same shit. Hashtag okay, Doomer.
All the things that is on that paper that Kevin has, how realistic is
The commitment to America, it's kind of like the contract with America, but it's at, to instead of with.
it that we can get all of this done?
Well, Sean, I think it's so important that the American people finally said enough is enough. And look, there's
Enough is enough is enough. All right.
a lot of despair out there. Families are struggling. And the real problem was they did not see Washington working for them.
Yeah, unfortunately, what Scalise means is that a lot of Republican families are struggling with reality. A lot of them have QAnon members, and those are the discussions they're having at the dinner table.
Because Washington was working against them. The problem.
No, it was not. Washington did not pass an infrastructure bill for the first time in 26 fucking years so that they could attack the American people. The fuck are you talking about?
Problems families are facing, from higher costs, inflation, high energy costs, open border, all created by President Biden.
No. And again, I understand you want to dunk on the other party. That makes sense. However, if you solve for the wrong problem, you will come to the wrong solution.
The extreme agenda of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And so people said, okay, we've got one opportunity to at least put some checks and balances and send.
No, they didn't. Oh, no, they didn't. 2 years ago, they could have put Trump back in charge, and they said, fuck that. And then they lost the Senate at the same time, and then they decided to give more of the Senate to Democrats. Again, the only thing that made the difference in the House was gerrymandering. And you can't gerrymander the Senate. Because it's already gerrymandered, because red states already get 2 fucking senators, even if they've got less people than Santa Monica,
People willing
California.
to fight for the families that are left behind. And that was really at the heart of the rules package. Because before we can go start fighting for those families, we had to change the way Washington worked. And that's really why the Democrats were so concerned about these rules changes, because they realized the party's over. The idea that you can write 4,000 or 5,000 page bills by dark of night, the old Pelosi way of you got to pass the bill to find out what's in it.
Yeah, that was never true, and it's always been garbage. It's silly.
Those days are over.
So that's 72.
And the reason why she said that, by the way, is because these fuckos, especially when they were writing stuff when Trump was in office, they were fucking cribbing shit into it all the way up to the moment of the vote.
Our rule is rock solid.
72-hour rule, single subject.
No, not true. They've already busted. They voted on a bunch of shit that they didn't set up for 72 hours. You out of your fucking mind? It hasn't been 72 hours since they passed the fucking rules, and they've already passed some things. What are you talking about?
Bills, Sean, allowing members, all members, not just in leadership, but rank and file members to be engaged in the process of going to bat for those families who are struggling.
And add amendments during the appropriations process.
Yeah, that hadn't happened.
You know what's the difference now? This is probably more people in the public that's ever been in the Capitol in the last 2 years. We've now...
There was one day where there were a lot of people from the public that were in the Capitol. I'm trying to remember what the exact date was, but there's thousands of them. They were everywhere. By God, some of them there weren't enough doors. They had to come in through the windows.
Open the doors. I want to invite
And the windows.
everyone who's listening. If you've ever dreamed of coming to D.C., come to
You know the place we've told you to hate and shit on? Come here. Armed.
D.C. And you know what? You can sit in the gallery and you can watch us debate. You can see your government at work because this is your...
And by the way, I sat in the gallery and watched debates on the floor. Summer and I were in D.C. twice in the last couple of years. And we sat in the gallery and watched the debates.
house. This is your government. And
This is your swamp. It's the people's swamp. Bring your waiters and come to the people's swamp.
just now empowered you even greater than ever before. So that brings accountability.
By the way, no, you haven't. You can watch. You can't fucking pipe up and boo. You'll get thrown out. The fuck are you talking about? By the way, the C-SPAN cameras are always on. Who gives a rat fuck if you're sitting there in person?
Just to start out with. And we want you to join with us. It doesn't matter what party you're in. But if you believe in securing your border, if you believe that you want to be able to fill up your tank.
Yeah, basically he's trying to get maggots to come down and flood the entire gallery so they can boo Democrats during the debates and cheer Republicans. That's what this is for. And since he's in charge of like House order, there's nothing in there that I'm gonna guess that they're not gonna really, if they're not doing the 72-hour rule, the sure is not gonna satisfy the rule of everybody shut your fucking trap during debates.
But have money left over for food. Then you want to be energy independent.
Did you see the story out of your state of California? The notice they sent out?
Yeah.
To expect your energy bill to double from where it was last year.
Because what Gavin Newsom has done to California, he has shrunk our grid, and then he tells you can only buy an electric car, then you can't charge it. It is.
And by the way, no, he hasn't. You can buy gas cars, ICE cars in California, and if they reach a certain point and the technology is not there where enough people can buy, there aren't enough cheap like electric cars and the like that you could sell in California at different price points, they'll push the date. That's how California works. It's how they've worked with everything. It's how they improved most of the environment there. It's the emission standards that California had that it bettered the entire fucking country were punted a few times, but the existence of them moved everybody down the field more than not having them at all.
But you can only charge it between certain hours. I've got to correct the record.
But you'll pay 40%. You'll pay 40% higher.
Yeah.
There's a reason why, for the first time in the history of California, we're decreasing. That people are leaving. It's their Democrat.
1 second. By the way, if I may, California notice energy costs. So we'll see what they news. Whoops, hold on. Whoops. There we go. Back up. Where'd it go? Oh, it went the other way. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Yeah, there we go. Friday. This is LA Times. Friday. When's this? January 6, 2023. Here you go. Whoops. The View from Sacramento. I don't care. 1 second. Okay, here we go. Get ready for massive SoCal bill this month as natural gas prices soar. The warning Southern California Gas Company issued to its customers was unusually blunt. There's no easy way to put this, the company said. January bills are likely to be shockingly high. Anybody who heats their home with natural gas is likely to see a January bill that is more than double what they paid a year earlier, SoCal Gas said. A typical peak monthly bill of $65 from last winter will probably come in at close to $160, a 146% increase. A $130 bill will be up $315, up 142%. The increase results from the soaring wholesale price of natural gas paid by SoCal Gas and passed through to customers. That price, set by national and regional markets, rose 2.5 times over December's price, and it's up more than 300% from January of 2022. Tom Cox of Westchester hasn't yet received his January. Okay, this is people. Our bill is not high compared to what I've heard. It's not yet just your gas bill. Your electric bill is going up too. It said the rates will go up 7.2% for electricity in January, mainly because of the rising price of natural gas. Natural gas is the source of about 22% of the company's electricity. So when the gas prices go up, electricity prices go up too. Natural gas used in Southern California usually goes up during the winter months. As homes and businesses use gas for heating, January usually is the peak month. Gas prices are jumping across the state. In the territory served by San Diego Gas and Electric, a household that paid $105 in January will pay $225 this month, the bill estimated. That's an increase of 114%. Utility customers said his organization started receiving complaints about the higher gas bills before the holidays. If in fact SDG&E customers said that type of hike, see that type of hike, that is just so unreasonable and so painful. It's creating tough choices for SDG&E customers in terms of not only how they pay their bill, but making choices to exactly what bills, including bills for other essential items that they can afford to pay. Other than attributed to unusually cold winter weather in California and the Pacific Northwest, which boosted demand for heat, as well as supply and distribution constraints. Which again, if I may, interesting change of events, why this might be. Again, statewide. Perhaps. Well, it's a different take on it, but we'll put it in here. Here you go. Near record snowfall in California mountains might reverse state's historic drought. Europe isn't the only place that's experiencing unusual weather. California snowfall in the mountains this year is nearly double the seasonal average, giving the drought-stricken state hopes for a moist 2023. Last Tuesday, the state performed its first formal snow survey up in the Sierra Nevadas. Currently, it's 174% of the historical average for that time of year. That's the third largest snowpack in the past 40 years, trailing only 83 in 2011. California has 3 years of drought, and many reservoirs and lakes are showing it. Heavy storms, which dumped all the snow on the mountains, are also deposited floodwaters around the north of the state, which the LA Times reported is actually normal. Officials say that while the storm damage is, of course, unfortunate, several more storms will be needed to refill the reservoirs. It could be a drought buster of a year if things continue on a wet track. Snowfall is up 174% in the state. So heating costs,
Democratic policies,
and also the gas that they're burning or they've spent or bought were in gas futures from months ago when the price was higher.
that they have tried to put here in Washington. And fortunately, when the American public spoke here to Congress, you now have a voice. You have a check and balance.
By the way, he didn't lose his job.
And we will stand up, and that's our commitment.
You know, Congresswoman, I've known you a long time.
I know you a long time.
One of the things I'd like to see, and I'm seeing,
is stuff that I can make clips out of and exaggerate into end-of-the-world scenarios, but that turn out to be nothing, so it doesn't affect my investments.
is more diversity in the Republican Party. To me, the Democratic Party.
Well, I mean, don't you have it locked down with Santos? A Brazilian gay Catholic Jew that's both educated and uneducated, rich and poor. I mean, come on. The man is a walking demographic time bomb.
Is the party of coastal elites.
Kevin McCarthy's from California.
They're not representing the men and women that make this country run and work every day, to me.
Sorry, you are one of the coastal elites, you dumb fuck. Sean Hannity is rich and lives in Manhattan. He's got like a house in fucking Connecticut or wherever wherever those rich assholes helicopter in from.
And I see the America First agenda, why I like it so much.
Is because it's easy to manipulate sponge-headed fuckos that I would never hang out with.
Is it really appeals to all the people in this country that get up every day, work hard, play by the rules, pay their taxes, obey the laws, and raise their kids and don't want their values contradicted by some teacher with an agenda. And all of that is now
You notice as he keeps talking, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller.
Paper written down. How confident are you that all of this will get accomplished?
Well, I'm so confident. Take a look around at these wonderful members. This is the most diverse class of Republicans ever elected in the history of the United States Congress.
Uh-huh. She really went there.
We have more women than were ever elected before, more Hispanic members ever elected before, more African American members in modern history. This shows that our
in modern history, meaning they used to have more black members back when it was the party of Lincoln.
Our party is growing, and I will tell you.
And by the way, just having more than you ever have when you've had almost none is not fucking impressive. The fuck is wrong with you?
The America First agenda is a growing big tent agenda.
It is. It's so big tent. It's amazing. You can fit a gay Brazilian Jew Catholic who was married to a woman and who's rich and poor in there.
We've never done better than we do today among Hispanic voters, and President Trump and House Republicans were a huge part of doing that. And what's most important is the American.
By the way, the only thing I like about this is the fact that she's making Tucker Carlson cry right now.
People are going to judge us by the results we've delivered. Look at this past week. We're already keeping our promises. On day one, we repealed the 87,000 IRS agents.
He already said that, and no, you didn't. You didn't. You did not. You did not. You passed something that says you're gonna, or you said that did, but didn't do it. Didn't actually do it. You swinging at the baseball is not a home run. I don't know what the fuck.
Agents. We just set up.
By the way, most of them had a target on my back, but go ahead.
Well, those agents were targeting.
Well, I mean, that's because they've spoken to Michael Cohen. Client number 3.
Hardworking Americans, working class
that was
Americans.
A report today.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hardworking Americans like I represent in upstate New York.
Yes. Yeah. Upstate, coastal elites, ladies and gentlemen. Coastal fucking elites. I swear to God, like Steve Scalise must feel like he's holding up the entire Midwest by himself.
So we are making good.
She's in upstate New York where, Hannity has a summer home and McCarthy's from California.
On our agenda, and we are going to go through that commitment to America to show the American people what House Republicans can accomplish and the results that we deliver.
Well, yeah, I mean, it will be weighed against what you said, and the disappointments will be felt very strongly. It's going to be fun to watch.
Everyone in the room, we have a room full of congressmen and women. Is everybody on the same page with the commitments to America? Everybody?
You can't do that. They were just bragging last week that Democrats vote like automatons and that they like diversity in the. I'm fucking with you.
Is there anybody?
Don't do it.
Anybody, and you can be honest, anybody that has disagreements with it? Nobody. Okay.
Somebody held up a fucking piece of paper behind you, and then you blew them off. Watch this guy. Watch.
Is there anybody, and you can be honest, anybody that has disagreements with it? Nobody.
Yeah. So that's scientific. And we all know that these guys love to discuss backroom stuff in front of cameras.
Okay. What about the investigations? Are you on board for all of these investigations?
Hey, like, do we all learn something? Did we all grow? I feel we grew. I feel I learned a lot about myself, and I explored parts of myself that I I was afraid might be there. And then when I found them, I was like, no, it's good. It tickles a little, but I'm enjoying myself. None of that, again, once we've all been voters for some time, I think most of the people watching. We've been through a couple of these cycles, and whenever the pseudo-revolutionaries get in power, the first thing they say is the same shit that everybody else says with their own buzzwords in there. It was like spending a day at the DMV. Exactly. Now, we missed one yesterday, and I want to get through this one. This is Eva Brandt, Laura Ingraham, talking about something liberal media runs to protect DC Swamp. Gates and Boebert reveal McCarthy's concessions. This is after we've just watched them kind of like, we're all together. We're all for it. Everybody's for all the same things. Either she, I don't know if she speaks to them or if she's just playing a tape, but either way, I'm excited. And also, I'm enjoying her, like 1978 solid gold dancer eyeshadow choices. Solid gold, solid gold. It's gold, it's gold, it's gold, it's gold, it's gold, remember.
Sean Hannity here.
Right, no, that's not Sean Hannity. It's Laura Ingraham.
Describe, among others, my next two guests, both instrumental in
they're going to be on live, and I got to turn the audio up. Sorry, I don't know why it's down on this.
Gaining concessions from newly minted Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Joining us now.
Yeah, keep rolling the video past that point when he walks away, when Rogers jumps at him.
Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert.
They're in our Freedom Lounge.
Great to see both of you. Congressman Gaetz, how confident are you that the concessions that you guys ended up winning are...
One. The single member motion to vacate. That's it. Everything else was already in the rules package. Oh, and his committee seats. I mean, I guess that's the thing.
Enforceable, and you can hold on to them for these next 2 years.
Especially if you're in jail.
Just moments ago, we passed the rules for the 118th Congress, and those included the enforcement mechanism of the one-member motion to vacate.
Right, which is the only thing that they actually got in those fucking 5 days of dick wagging.
Now, I don't anticipate that we'll ever have to use that, but it gives us the opportunity.
But it was worth fighting for, because what if I have to talk to these 5 assholes again to just throw the entire party under the bus?
To ensure that our goals regarding policy, procedure, and personnel are met.
The 3 Ps of pedophiles. I don't know what other words he might associate with.
We're going to have votes on term limits, balanced budgets, internal enforcement of our immigration laws. None of those things would have happened if we had caved on Monday. But by getting these concessions and coming to a stronger place, the House is in a stronger position.
Now,
yeah, a magic. And I just want to say that in my talent and swimsuit segments on the show, I'm going to play the violin with my knees.
here's how the Democrats are
Thank God she didn't ask Lauren Boebert the same question.
responding to the rules package just passed moments ago.
These rules are not a serious attempt at governing. They're essentially a ransom note to America from the extreme right. You're still empowering the extremists. Don't take my word for it. Let's go through their rules package. They're giving a single member the ability to remove the speaker at any time, letting a small far-right faction hold their leadership hostage.
Congresswoman,
Yeah, I mean, don't threaten me with a good time. Kabang.
fault.
Apparently, that's usually what the Democrats like to say. But this empower.
No. Oh dear. Dear. We don't give you that much credit. We don't think it's your fault. You don't do anything. You're just kind of noisy and kind of prickish. Honestly, think back. Everybody, think back. Other than maybe like her possibly wanting to bring a gun on the fucking floor of Congress that most of us were worried about. And again, most Democrats would be like, stay the fuck away from Nutcase. If she trips and falls, she's going to blow your foot off. And Gates is like, blow my foot? I'm into that, but only if I'm gacked on ecstasy and she's high school age. But anyways, notice that the most trouble she's actually caused, other than kind of yammering on the floor, the only thing materially she's fucked with that's gone anywhere is attacking her own party. Like, she sided with Republican bills and stuff. Of course she's going to. Who gives a fuck? That would be true if it was another Republican in the same fucking seat. But the one thing that she has done, where she's actually stirred some shit and been a problem, has been for her own party. The one time.
Powers every individual member of Congress, even the Democrats. That single member motion to vacate is for them as well. These single subject legislation pieces that we're going to see, this is something that we have in 47 state legislatures. To have it on a federal level is massive. So I'm proud that we took a few extra days to make sure that we get this right.
That was already in there.
It looked like chaos and dysfunction, but
yeah, it did. It was. I mean, the part where you told Marge to get the fuck out of your face. I enjoyed that part. That was fun.
But I'm a mom of 4 boys. That's a part of my everyday life.
Yeah.
And really, last week...
And my husband, I mean, shows his dick to teenagers in bowling alleys. Like, I thought my boys were in trouble.
...was the most productive week I have experienced in Congress.
People really...
That's ridiculous. Because you spent 5 days to vote on one thing.
Saw behind the curtain of what happens in Washington.
The fuck they did? What was all the whispering about?
And stuff that, you know, I've been railing against for 20 plus years, 25 years. These
oh my God. You started that show when you're 1?
Omnibus spending bills. Nobody knows what's in them.
Everybody knows what's in them if they give a shit. No Republican knows what's in them because they don't give a fuck.
It's just junk and the kitchen sink thrown in. Things that congressmen and senators don't want to be held accountable for. So you can't say you voted against border enforcement. What they say, Congressman Gates, is, oh, no, I just voted to keep the government open. That's essentially what they do, correct?
Well, and the whole sum of this...
No. That's not it at all. Because in most of the cases you're talking about, even in Democrats, it's better to say I voted for border enforcement as far as their voters are concerned than to say they voted to not fund the government.
Movement was to ensure that never...
By the way, the Democrats are already strategizing in ways to make every appropriation bill a material win for Democrats. Because of assholes like this holding out on each one of them just to be an asshole, you're going to need some Democratic votes to pass them. And they have to pass. So I don't care if they want to cut them or whatever. They've got to get some agreement. And they have to go to the Senate, come back and get passed for real. So there's only so much they can do. And they're going to use Democrats to do it. And Democrats will be able to prioritize stuff because these fuckos will just be able to go, I didn't vote for that whole bill. That whole section of the government can go fuck itself.
Never again would we be forced to take a vote on something like this omnibus legislation. And I actually think this...
They've been voting on a CR of another omnibus for fucking years.
Will make Kevin McCarthy stronger as a speaker.
Yeah, because he'll be doing what I tell him to do.
Negotiating with the Senate, he'll be able to say, I'm sorry, the House rules don't allow us to consider things that aren't germane or that don't comport to a single subject.
Yeah, and he won't even say, I'm sorry. He'll just say, fuck you.
Yeah, make it better. Now, the issue of...
Yeah, make it better. It's better. It's good. Better is better.
Defense spending. I brought this up several times last week. That's always treated as the sacred cow.
Yeah, fuck defense spending. It is time for Republicans to start cutting defense. But, it's about time. It's real. This is their hill to die on.
Never touch defense spending, no matter how...
Never. Don't do it. Follow Laura Ingram's advice and do it.
How woke the Pentagon is, no matter how much scrutiny the Pentagon needs for its failures. We all support our men and women in uniform, but the idea that 55% of our discretionary budget can't be touched, those numbers don't add up with the cuts that you all want, correct? Unless you guys ultimately start...
Yes. Lauren Boebert, this is your life. You're about to agree to cuts in defense spending because Laura Ingraham is telling you to.
Start thinking about cutting parts of the military.
We're certainly going to have to look at a number of things.
Oh, we're certainly going to have to look at a number of things.
things to get this budget
to get this budget to blah 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, I think more than anything, it's how plain spoken the maggots are. You know what I mean?
What's the number of things? You can't get away with that on the show. What number of things?
Many things that we're going to look at, but defense is
That's
certainly
the biggest
one of them.
number, isn't it?
It is. That is absolutely one of them, and we have a lot of defense hawks in the House of Representatives that are probably going to put up a fight for that. But we have to have a budget that actually balances, and that's what this
Congressman Gates.
No, you don't. You might be able to have it in a few years, and you might be able to have one years ago, and you might eventually be able to get to one as you pare stuff down like a household could do. If you do it in one fell swoop, you can fuck up your entire financial picture.
It's on that. That's the defense issue, the hawks in the Republican Party. And some of the Democrat Party are saying, no. You can't touch that. I heard the comments even tonight. You can't touch the defense. You're being irresponsible with national security. The Wall Street Journal had a very powerful piece today. National security is at risk with what you guys did.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, this is how Democrats will have some leverage over Republicans, because people like Laura Ingraham are basically forcing Boebert and Gates and Perry and those assholes into a fucking corner where they can stomp their fucking feet. And not another dime for Ukraine. And everybody else is like, what the fuck's the matter with you? And they pass it without them.
I represent the district that has the highest concentration of active duty military in the country, and we can defend this country and project power more efficiently and more effectively than we do. President Trump was the first.
Yeah, the first thing you would do is eliminate personnel and replace them with machines. Honestly, welcome to your drone future, members of Matt Gaetz's district.
President to demand an audit of the Pentagon, and they couldn't pass it.
He didn't cut defense.
Well, we got
because they have to drop their pants in front of Russia and China. Are you stupid?
An audit so we show where they fail to actually deliver on some of the authorities. And how about we start with Ukraine before we reduce?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, fucking Ukraine, am I right? When are we even going to do that, by the way? Like Angus King, we looked at this video, I think day before yesterday, already went there and went through the review process. They will do this, by the way. They'll do it, and they'll have to do it behind closed doors. But when they do, they're going to have to, this is the fun part, as annoying and awful as this is, they're going to have to come out and go, they're taking really good care of the money. And it's going to drive them fucking batshit.
Before we reduce what we do for our troops, I think it's a pretty easy case to make that some of this money that we send to Ukraine without requisite accountability should be the first place for reduction.
First of all, the idea that there's no requisite accountability, citation needed, fucko.
All right,
it's a war.
To play this video. This was the real dramatic video on Friday night. So we were live 10 to 11, and all this stuff was happening in the hour and minutes after we got off the air. This is one of the most talked about moments. McCarthy comes over toward you. You see it gets heated. Lauren, is that you right next to us? Yeah, there are you.
No, it's the other one.
Now, Fox News reported that you appeared to...
By the way, there's Luna up there. She's like, why does she get to sit? What the fucking hell? Why is I'm sitting next to Biggs? What the fuck?
Now the word committee during this exchange. I guess you had a lip reader. Congressman, the world wants to know what was said here. Come on, this is a pivotal moment. What was said?
Well, this was a matter of timing, and those of us who had withheld our support for Speaker McCarthy
and continue to
wanted to move as a group. We thought it could be a unifying moment. I'm glad that, to Speaker McCarthy's great credit, in the final moments he made the requisite concessions to bring our team together and put us in a great position to do what we did tonight, vote to get rid of 87,000 IRS agents.
Which didn't do anything.
So I think that, the imperial speakership is over. Nancy Pelosi will be the last imperial speaker because now we're going to unlock the potential in all the members, and I'm glad that Speaker McCarthy...
Yes, tyranny of the individual.
McCarthy saw it that way.
Now, I also saw that you both were talking to various Democrats during the process, and you especially were talking to Congresswoman Jayapal and others. Was there any thought of a deal with Democrats during this process, ever?
Absolutely
No.
not. I was
You
actually.
look pretty cozy talking to the Democrats. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're fun people, just like Republicans.
If you want to know what I was talking with Congresswoman Jayapal
Yeah, they're fun people.
about, it was about the big tech legislation that I supported with her to break up these companies. And we were talking about during Republican control, could we get those bills to the floor
Right.
that Nancy Pelosi wouldn't bring to the floor while her husband was trading big tech stocks?
Could you work with some people on the left
By the way, that's not what he was talking about with her I call bullshit.
on some of these issues, Congresswoman Boebert? Because, you know, you guys are vilified.
They were trying to make sure that Democrats weren't going to step outside and fuck the vote.
Right.
You know, people were tough on you last week. I was kind of tough on you last week, but there were a lot of great things that were done because of what you guys
Nothing. One change.
did to hold out on this stuff.
One change.
So could you guys work together?
I believe that the Congress is going to be much stronger than it was going into this, the Republican Party, and we will be able to work with some Democrats.
Good.
There were many Democrats who campaigned on conservative values, and I want to hold them to it. They were talking about securing a border and reducing inflation and energy independence even, and this was a battle in a lot of elections that we were seeing. So I want to hold them to those promises and bring them into the committee.
While warring with members of my own party. What could possibly go wrong?
And have these discussions to actually move things forward.
That would be
and get
ironic.
Yeah, let's move things and get America doing the things that are good for as a country. And I feel like these commitments are the kind of situations where we find ourselves in where we're going to have to look at what's really important, and the American people know this.
Back on track.
Yeah, that would be ironic if it were more bipartisan as a result of all this.
Right.
Well,
Uh-huh. Yeah, it would be. Because the bipartisanship, look at Fumfer over here. The reason why it would be ironic is because that will, like moderate or conservative, allegedly conservative Democrats in the House will be their workaround in getting some stuff passed to get it going. That'll be their way of sidestepping these assholes. Ugh, it's going to be so good. Like I said, there will not be enough popcorn for 2023. Now, I don't have time for much more. I got all these people are just yammering all the fucking time. Oh, it's just so much. Hold on. Let's end with this, since you can't get much worse than this. Trump apparently is very upset about online censorship, and he would like to address this in a special video made just for you.
The now famous Twitter files have proven beyond all doubt that the corrupt...
Why is he out of breath already? It's because they had to go back and do the beginning because he kept fucking it up. They just ran it through, and then they came back, and by the end, he was it's too much.
The now famous Twitter files have proven beyond all doubt that the corrupt officials at the FBI have been coordinating a massive censorship, surveillance, and propaganda campaign against the American people, and frankly, against me.
By the way, you're not taking crazy pills. They just forgot to spray the sides of his face.
In the most recent and notorious example,
no, it's very notorious. Notorious.
The FBI worked to stop the truth from being told about the Biden family's criminality. They worked so hard to stop it from coming out.
No, they're coming out. Why they're coming? It won't come out. Just like I'm doing with the dookie in my butthole.
And the corruption prior to the 2020 election. They didn't want any bad information to come out about the Biden family. The fix was in, the election was rigged, but the censorship of the laptop from hell is only the beginning of the story about
which is a story.
The weaponization of government against free speech.
Oh, it's just this is how it started. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is what you...
We must have free speech in our country.
Oh, we totally have to. And we don't have it right now, not at all, which is why I'm talking to you from this video that no one will stop you from seeing.
We must have a fair and free press.
Yes, and we don't, because they're the enemy of the people. And I'm not saying they should be killed, but I'm just saying if I see any of them in Fifth Avenue, I'm going to test my theory.
As recent reporting shows, the FBI and other rogue agencies have been systematically colluding with former national security officials placed in high positions at Twitter and very likely other companies.
Yeah, Amco, fucking Whole Foods probably. God damn it.
To advance their censorship regime.
Their censorship regime. That's, yes, they've set up an entire thing where they've done all the censoring, which is apparently the choice of private companies. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. It's like a regime light. It's like half the calories of the regular kind of regime.
Which is really, in this case, to steal an election. This
What? Really? It's been a couple of years. I don't know that they're going to have to steal the next one. I think I figured to tee that shit up.
American effort, and a very illegal effort at that.
Oh, terrible. It's illegal. I mean, well, then make some charges. File some charges. You're the one running. Knock yourself the fuck out.
Has been working to silence dissenting opinions on COVID and crucial issues on public health and on the election and
other things. Wow, that is some serious Ted Knight browage happening.
Elections in the future. They suppressed doctors and health experts who dared to question approved public health narrative.
And who all they were saying was that you probably got COVID from fucking demons in your sleep and letting them jizz all over your forehead. It's demon jizz. I stand by that to this day. And it's something, nobody knows this, only I know this, but you can solve demon jizz by guzzling bleach with a light bulb up your ass and then have someone turn it on and off while reading from Corinthians 2.
They censored voices who criticized school closures, lockdowns, and mandates.
Well, only when they called for the death of teachers.
And they even banned people simply for stating proven scientific facts.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They kicked people. All they were saying were proven scientific facts. That statistically speaking, you know, you can close your eyes and cross the street, and statistically, because there are a lot of open roads in the United States, statistically your chances of dying are very low. However, you live in a big city and it's rush hour.
And anything bad about China, they didn't want out. But
no China bad news. This is the guy who basically said she was doing a very professional job and sold him a bunch of beef, corn, pork, and soybeans in the middle of COVID. They didn't want people to think ill of the Chinese people, but had their problems with the CCP. And the lack of distinction by people like you and your followers was the reason why there was such a lag on that kind of reporting. That people found it harder to make the distinction because of all the flat-out racism coming from your MAGA crowd.
But anything bad about Biden and the Biden crime family, and that's what it was, just look at the laptop from hell.
Just look at it. If you can find it, it doesn't exist. And even the hard drives, there was a 256 gig hard drive with only half the stuff on it that's now got 416 gigs on it. I don't know how. It's probably all the crime. It's probably all the fucking. There's so much video of Hunter Biden fucking on there that it gave birth to new crimes. Since it's been incubated, it was dark and moist, and it grew like mold.
They didn't want that coming out under any circumstances.
No, they didn't want it coming out under it, and it did come out eventually. Nobody cared. And by the way, when he says they didn't want it coming out under any circumstances, he meant Rudy Giuliani, who'd had it for a year and a half, and then they slipped it into the fucking Delaware repair shop and then seeded into Keith Ablow's place, tried to get it introduced into the storyline early on and fucked around with it, but he'd been holding on. He didn't want to let any of it out, because remember, Rudy Giuliani would not give the New York Post or any media outlet access to the hard drive he had, just whatever he would print out and give them. And as we all know with digital files, no metadata, all bullshit.
What they wanted coming out was anything bad about your favorite president, me.
Well, not anything. There's a lot of stuff we know about you that we'd rather forget. By the way, nice taxes. Sorry to hear you're not a billionaire and never were.
Anything bad about Trump, put it out, even if it's not true. But this all had nothing to do with science. This had nothing to do with saving.
Yeah, scientifically, I'm an asshole, but not biologically.
Lives. It had everything to do.
Oh, but hold on.
Anything bad about Trump, put it out, even if it's not true. But this all had nothing to do with science. This had nothing to do with saving lives. It had everything to do with politics or a sick.
How about everything? You couldn't do another edit and save that one? This isn't live, motherfucker. Everybody has lip flaps live. You edit. Also, why do you always look like you're crying in every fucking freeze frame? Is this something in Mein Kampf? Did I skip over this part?
Ideology. This was about government working with powerful corporations to seize power over you, the American people.
Me? Over me? The American people? No, it didn't work. Because I saw all the evidence you were talking about. Nothing was hidden from me. It didn't change my mind. I voted for Biden because I knew it was all bullshit and you could see through it. It was pretty easy. And your 4 years of being a total fuck up, which was in line with the rest of your life, was even more reasons why you were never going to get my vote.
And we can't let that continue.
No, we can't. We especially can't let that continue. I like the edit right there.
This was about government working with powerful corporations to seize power over you, the American people. And we can't let that continue. The Twitter files prove that we urgently need my plan to dismantle the illegal censorship regime.
Regime. It's now a regime. A regime, is it?
American people. And we can't let that continue. The Twitter files prove that we...
Sorry. Tudor files?
Government working with powerful corporations to seize power over you, the American people. And we can't let that continue. The Twitter files prove that...
The Tudor files, all right.
We urgently need my plan to dismantle the illegal censorship regime.
Tudor files and regime. Okay,
gotcha. A regime like nobody's ever seen in the history.
This is the most regime. We're gonna zim. Jesus Christ.
History of our country.
Fucking, they've just given up. They're not even editing him anymore. This is like their 9th video, and they're like, fuck it.
Or most other countries, for that matter, to prosecute the perpetrators for their crimes and to restore free speech for all Americans. So,
also, what crime? These are private fucking companies. If you're going to argue the town square argument, then you have to explain to me how that's not communism, you fucking weirdo.
So important. We need a free press. We need free speech. We need fair elections.
That's the problem with the Republicans. They want everything free. You know what? Freedom isn't free, dumbass. You got to work for it, you lazy son of a bitch. Get off your lard ass, stop chucking ketchup, and play a real sport.
And we need borders. The new Congress should immediately...
And we need borders. Just throwing that in for good measure. We have them.
...hold hearings to investigate the role of the FBI and other federal agencies in censoring lawful speech. Congressional leaders should promptly issue subpoenas in further...
And I'm sorry, what are they supposed to do with those subpoenas? What are the people that are given those subpoenas supposed to do? What happens if the Congress subpoenas someone? I mean, if we're just going to use the Republicans as an example, what should we expect in return for said behavior?
Of this goal, the revelations also highlight why my proposal to end the revolving door between the deep state, and there is a deep state indeed.
No, there isn't. There's no deep state. Deep state and establishment are fucking stupid. Stop saying them.
I wasn't a believer, but everybody's a believer right now.
I thought it was all bullshit, even when I was saying it. Is someone poking him with a needle, or is this just Coke jaw? I hate this. I hate it. Why did I have to lose? I could have quit.
And the tech tyrants is so important. There must be a 7-year
Look at these hard edits, man.
cooling off period before any employee.
Look at that. They had to chop the fuck out of it.
Indeed, I wasn't a believer, but everybody's a believer right
everybody's a believer
now. And the tech tyrants is so important. There must be a 7-year cooling off period before any employee of these powerful agencies is allowed to take a job at a major platform.
What? 7 years? Motherfucker, half of these businesses won't exist in 7 years. What are you talking about? And by the way, does he want this for pharmaceutical companies or defense companies or advertising companies for that fucking matter? Does he want a cooling off period before they can go work for Fox fucking News? Of course not. What the fuck is the difference?
When I'm president, we will take
Yeah, he's not going to be president.
back our freedoms. We will take back our country.
And we will cut me. But they just cut him off. They just had it.
A job at a major platform. When I'm president, we will take back our freedoms. We will take back our country.
Okay, kill it, Tommy. Kill it. We don't need to hear that shit. It's like the control room went. Is there a filter on his face? The white bit on the side changes. No, he's tan because he's been golfing a lot, and he's still spraying himself with orange, and that only goes to here. So he doesn't. There's like a line on the side of his fucking face. That was it. Like seriously. I mean, like it's like
job at a major platform.
Wrap it
when
up.
I'm president, we will take back our freedoms. We will take back our country.
Cut. Yeah, thank you. That's it. We'll take back our country. No, God bless America. We're all done or whatever. You just fuck off. Only under 4-minute videos on Truth Social. He still had 10 seconds to say God bless America. You can't cut out one of the pieces of blather? Fucking hell. Maybe it's because they want to leave these screens up for 10 seconds so people can donate. That's going to be my guess. Hi. You're watching HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide. Hi, how you doing? Yeah, we're at the tail end of the show, but this is. I have to do one thing. I don't think I'm going to do this whole video because we're out of time. But CSL and I were both confused by this one, and I don't like. You guys know, welcome, by the way, if you're just joining us, don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up. Thank you to our patrons and everybody who super chats and supports the show and all the lovely Water Goddess and all the folks who've been, and TOH Show Live who've been gifting subs. Erica, thank you for the super chat. Cammie, thank you as well. Thank you guys for your support and just being here. I like seeing you here. I like the chat's nice. It's a nice thing. One of the things that I always find fascinating is when, and you can debate whether or not, I'm sure there's debate on the far left, whether I qualify as left or not and all that bullshit. But for certain Republicans think I am, because I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, they think I'm, a fucking communist or something. But anyways, that I'm to the, to the left of Stalin's corpse or whatever the fuck. Anyways, that's what they think. So I'm always interested in when they tell us the left thinks this or the left wants this. When they, because sometimes they'll talk about something that maybe somebody said, but a lot of times it's just shit they just grab out of nowhere. And this is one of those things. This is both of us couldn't figure out what the fuck Gorka is on. Gorka. And Gorka has this thing on the woman the left hates the most. Chaya Rachik is apparently, I don't know if you know this, but if you're to the left of Sebastian Gorka, which is all of America, except for Roger Stone, Gorka, you apparently hate this person the most. You may not know it yet, but you do. Let's find out why. Okay, first of all, it's lovely that that Sebastian Gorka has gone back to doing his show from his childhood bedroom, where his mom set him up a little desk where he could play president with a little red phone and a couple of hats and his little fucking Batman Shakespeare bust with a button in it and his RoboCop and his Millennium Falcon so he can pretend to be hip. Look, guys, I got the same thing too. Fucking nesting dolls and a C-3PO and a fucking TARDIS. Just trying to taint everything you like with his stank.
It's the hottest item on the website.
It's so exciting, I'm Gorka.
Designed in collaboration with my good buddy Chris Plant. It's the FBI t-shirt. The classic blue with the yellow lettering with this.
Fascist Bureau of Intimidation. Fuck me. Wear that in Sturgis and get your ass kicked.
This time underneath the FBI, it's their real name, the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation. We can't.
Look at this asshole. I don't know where I've seen that jacket before. Let's see. Let's see. I think I can. Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I know what he's going for. It's not. There might be one of these things is not like the other. One of these things that literally, I'm not kidding. Knowing what we've seen hanging on his walls behind him, he bought that because it's the Rocky IV Russia jacket. And full disclosure, I fucking love Rocky IV, so fuck him. Yeah, totally CSL. What a dork. Oh my God. I think one of the things that I'm finding out is that the current Republican Party, with their whole like alpha male wannabe testicle tanning bullshit, are really just a bunch of dweebs trying to play, hey guys, wait up with like people they consider real men, weightlifters and boxers and like blue collar workers and that kind of shit. And all of them just look like total dickheads. It's this is the jacket version of Ben Shapiro's beard. You know what I'm saying? What a bunch of dweebs.
Can't make them fast enough. Get yours today. So much more America First merchandise, all made in America. Go right now to sebgorkastore.com and treat yourself.
Seb Gorka.
On the show. It's easier to get positive vision. The closet, she put her face to the cameras for a recent interview with Tucker. She is Libs of TikTok.
Oh, it's the chick from Libs of TikTok. Okay. Yeah, Chaya Raychick. Okay, gotcha.
Chaya Raychick. Chaya, welcome to America First.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
I wanted to have your...
Wait, she's not showing her face. She showed her face to Tucker, but she's not... She's just calling in? Gorka. How far are we falling?
Pretty face on the screen. All I have is your symbol, Libs of TikTok, because what did you say in the break? You're a complete boomer when it comes to technology?
Yes, exactly.
Well, since you're a social media...
No, that's Mike Flynn talking through a filter.
Media warrior, shouldn't you be better at technology?
I should be, and I'm going to have someone help me with this for all these Zoom and Skype interviews. So next time I come on, which hopefully will be soon, we'll have the video set up.
All right, well, you said that in front of 3 million people, so now you...
No, the range of the radio station is not your listenership.
You are committed to come back in full Technicolor and Panavision. All right, for those who aren't familiar with... who you are, you've got to follow this lady at Libs of TikTok.
No, I don't. Okay, all right. That's what I was just wondering who she is. We all know who she is, and I've seen the fucking Tucker interview. Blah blah blah. Who cares? She's just gonna be gross, and he's gonna be gross, and Speaking of gross, oh God, there's so much good stuff though. God damn it. Here you go. First of all, obviously Tucker Carlson is an alien and his head comes in two pieces. This is called Tucker Carlson, Biden trusts Beijing more than he trusts you. I might bail out on it. I probably will.
And welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight.
Welcome to Romper Room for Racists.
Always accuse you of the very things they're doing themselves.
That's what they do, and they're doing it. Joe Biden found out a year ago that he had these documents, and he fought the Presidential Records Act office and then defied a subpoena and then hid some of the documents and then put them in another box and flew him to his golf course and hid him in the coffin of his dead wife. Oh, wait.
If there's one rule you can keep on your fridge, write it down, put it in your wallet to evaluate the behavior of the people in charge, it's that. The
people in charge. That, by the way, sorry, Kevin McCarthy and Republicans in the House, you're fucked now because Tucker's been doing this whole like, I'm against the establishment no matter what it is because he wants to sink the U.S. government. So even if you win a seat, fuck you.
Blame you for their sins.
No, they didn't. No, the Biden White House issued a statement like, we didn't know they were there. We did everything right as soon as we got them. We also gave them other private stuff, and they're going to sift through it and see if there's anything in there just in case we missed anything. And we even looked in other places to make sure we found some other stuff. We returned that to them, and we did a big clean sweep, and it's all fine. We didn't spend a year fighting them on this shit that we knew existed and they knew existed, and we didn't defy a subpoena and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Every single time.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, the inversion is true.
The latest example arrived this week when we learned that Joe Biden, fresh from lecturing us about how Donald Trump is a criminal because he had unauthorized possession of secret documents.
No, because he fought to not return them and defied a subpoena about them and lied about them and moved them so that they wouldn't be taken back.
That very same Joe Biden himself had unauthorized possession of secret documents. But don't worry, it's not a big deal. Unlike you and that despicably orange Donald Trump, Joe Biden is a good...
By the way, in quotes, it says Joe Biden's secret docs are fine, no big deal. Tucker said that, but you're supposed to believe that Karine Jean-Pierre said it.
...person. Joe Biden is so virtuous, he has transcended temporal law. It's not a crime when he...
And by the way, the Biden docs, UK, Iran, Ukraine, yeah.
...does it. So that's the frustratingly familiar...
And I don't think he had pictures of his naked son. I'm just saying.
...headline from this week's story, which you've probably seen by now. But the details of the story are actually pretty interesting.
Oh, my God.
So a week before these last midterm elections, Joe Biden's lawyers were, for some reason, rooting around in a locked closet.
No. They were not rooting around in a locked closet, and Tucker Carlson knows this. They were closing down the office. They had the office there, and they were like, we don't need that office anymore. Let's go wrap it up. We haven't used it for a while, and obviously since the presidency, we've been doing a lot of shit, so you guys go down there, gather everything up, all the personal items, shut off down the office, and they found these things in a locked closet. They weren't rooting around. They were closing the office.
In the Washington office of something called the Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. And while in that locked closet, Biden's lawyers found a sheaf of highly classified government documents.
No. They had a folder, a sheaf. I don't know what is a sheaf. How much is a sheaf? Ooh, a sheaf.
So the first question here is, why were Joe Biden's lawyers doing this in the first place?
Because they were closing the office. That's in the story. That's in the initial story. That's in all the follow-up stories. This fuckhead is pretending not to know that so that his viewers will think it's something fishy.
First place. And we can't say for sure because they haven't told us, but it is weird.
Okay, they have told you. Everyone's told you. The reporters themselves knew. That's why.
Lawyers don't typically search locked closets.
They weren't searching. They were part and parcel to the closing down of the office because of documents, both personal and possibly governmental, or with the Penn Center that were in the place. That's it.
Probably don't. But Biden's lawyers did, and we'd guess they did because they understood that Republicans were about to win back the House, and with it, congressional subpoena power. So they were likely conducting a cleanup operation preemptively, trying to get ahead of a scandal they knew was coming.
Let's see. They knew it was coming, So they handled it properly. Okay.
And of course, they hid what they found in that closet until after the midterm elections because...
No, they did not. That's a lie, too. That's a distinct lie. They contacted the National Archives immediately and arranged for them to all be returned the next day. And the lawyer that saw them immediately shut the folder and didn't continue looking and gave all the boxes that were in that closet to the National Archives for them to sift through. That's the real story. That's like, and again, Tucker Carlson is bald-faced lying about this story because he knows the details that he's pretending not to know. And the entire purpose of this is to like confuse, bewilder, and bullshit his viewers who won't look any further and see that the earliest stories tell all the details that he's acting like nobody is talking about.
Because there's no reason to influence voters too much with information.
Well, he's not running for office anyways.
So there's that.
No, there isn't.
And then there's the question of the so-called Penn-Biden Center at the University of Pennsylvania. What is that exactly?
What is that? Pennsylvania, Biden, Scranton? What the fuck does... what? It's almost as if people want Biden around. I mean, there's no Trump center anywhere because he lacks a center. But also because... what would you put there? He's already buried Ivana. Also, let me see. Hold on one second. What is that? Well, I mean, you could look it up. It took me all of 4 fucking seconds. Penn Biden Center for Diplomacy and Global Engagement. Strengthening American leadership, global leadership for the future. We're focused on advancing the dialogue of internationalism, addressing threats to the liberal international order, engaging a new generation, aftershocks, the coronavirus pandemic, the New World Order. Let's see. The Perry World House today. The PWG is going to hosted a workshop at Penn Biden with partnership to protect DC, Refugee Admissions Project, the Democracy Project, New Insults, News and Insights. Course shows students how Washington really works. Managing Director Dr. Michael Carpenter speaks with BBC about U.S.-Russia relations. Aftershock, the coronavirus pandemic is like Penn's new home in Washington. The Penn Biden Center officially opened our doors in February of 2018 with an event featuring President of the University of Pennsylvania, Dr. Amy Gutmann, and a discussion on global affairs between Joe Biden and distinguished journalist and Penn alumna Andrea Mitchell. The center welcomed guests from Penn and across the world of government and foreign policy, including former Secretary of State John Kerry, former National Security Advisor Susan Rice, Attorneys General Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch, and current and former members of the U.S. Congress. It sounds like a big post-vice president thing. What is that? It just looks like an empty office with nobody in it to me.
The whole idea of an academic Biden Center is pretty funny.
Why? He obviously knows how shit works. He got bipartisan legislation passed that last year.
Joe Biden is a moron. He's always been a moron.
And by the way, you hear it right. Tucker Carlson is jealous because he's always wanted to be king of the morons, and there can be only one.
Even before the dementia. For decades in Washington, ask anyone who lived there, Biden was famous as the dumbest member of the Senate. People made...
No, he was very gaffe heavy, not that he was stupid.
Jokes about it.
No, Republicans make jokes about it because Republicans joke that everyone is either the most liberal person in the world or dumb.
So why would an Ivy League university name a think tank after a man who can't think?
Interestingly enough, who became vice president and president of the United States. And again, passed an infrastructure bill for the first one in 27 years.
And then pay him nearly $1 million a year for not doing anything.
Well, he did things. He led roundtables and he introduced members of those groups to each other and had them speak to students like you do at all of these types of centers.
Good question. We'll have more on that in just a minute.
Yeah. Tell me all about it.
But first, a word about classified documents. Now,
yes, please. Now that you give a shit.
This is not a partisan point, not
yeah, it is.
attacking anybody. It's just the truth.
Yeah, you are.
Truth. These people you see on television huffing and puffing about vital state secrets, on both sides, by the way, not just Democrats, everybody.
Because it's the U.S. government that sucks, and the only government that's worth a goddamn is Russia and Hungary, I think, right, Tucker?
Vital state secrets. They're either lying or they don't really understand how Washington works.
It's a swamp.
How many legitimate vital state secrets are there? Well,
all right. These things don't even matter, especially when Trump takes them home. And do you think any of the things that Biden has mean anything? Like top secret? They'll call everything top secret. But he should go to jail for it. But Trump shouldn't. For fuck's sake, this is so annoying. I'm told they found more Biden docs. Yes, they found, they went to another place, one of his other offices. Hold on. More. And here you go. Discovery of more classified records, question over Biden's handling. Republican attacks on the president. This is New York Times. Hold on one second. We'll show you this real quick. The revelation is sure to intensify Republican attacks on the president, who called former President Donald Trump irresponsible for hoarding sensitive documents at his estate in Florida. President Biden's aides found a new batch of classified documents at a second location associated with Mr. Biden. A person familiar with the situation said on Wednesday. A disclosure, the second in 3 days, that is sure to intensify Republican attacks. It is not clear where or when the records were recovered, but Mr. Biden's aides have been scouring various places since November when his lawyers discovered a handful of classified files, which included briefing materials on foreign countries when they were closing a think tank office in Washington. The Justice Department is reviewing the discovery to determine how to proceed. Republicans, again, more than likely is home, I'm going to guess. Let's see, lawyers found, Biden told reporters in Mexico City that he was surprised to learn in November that his lawyers found classified government documents at his former office at Biden Penn Center. He said the staff had fully cooperated with the National Archives and the Justice Department. A day later, they reported another cache had been found at a different undisclosed location. Yeah, so they basically, once they found those, they were like, let's just make sure there aren't anywhere else. They found a couple, they returned them immediately to the National Archives, and that was that. By the way, by the time we find out what these are, it's going to be far to air. Or they're going to be old or exemplary or some shit like that. Like, this is an example of the kind of briefing you would get, and it had been declassified by circumstance because of age, whatever the fuck. But very different from Trump fighting for a year. Discovery of second batch. Raise questions. After I was briefed about the discovery, I was surprised to learn that there are any government records that were taken to that office, Biden said while he's in Mexico. But I don't know what's in the documents. I'm not going to go beyond the president shared yesterday. I'm not going to go beyond what my colleagues at the White House shared with all of you as well. Merrick Garland said, okay, and they're going to look into it, and they should. And that's totally cool. And if they go, if there's a finger wag about how shit didn't work back then, I'm for it. But the idea that if they finger wag at Biden or insist on anything from him, then Trump's fucked. And you know how when the Epstein Island shit comes up, and I got to be completely frank, anybody on those lists, even if I previously liked them or respected them or thought they were likable or respectable, if it turns out they flew to Epstein Island and engaged in that shit, fuck them. I don't care. Done. End of story, right? I don't care. I do not. That's the end. Fuck you. I don't like, I got friends and I got enough people I respect and enough heroes in my life. I don't need to pad that number with people who would do shit like that. Period. End of story. Same thing. You are not seeing the same thing about classified documents on the right with Trump, for example. If they're going, what Biden's doing is bad and is probably criminal, so anybody who does that shit should go down. Well, they're not going to say that because that means Trump is in way deeper trouble. And again, was no longer president when he took the stuff and fought giving it back. They're not going to do it. It's a ridiculous double standard. That said, hold on one second. Let me do this one little last thing. Oh God, I don't even want to. This is just bullshit. This is Glenn Beck again with the fucking, the East is dumping the US dollar and your money will suffer. What a fuck, the East. Shut the fuck up. You guys know it gets my gander up when these assholes decide that they want to tell me about what's going on in fucking China, much less like Asia in general. Lord almighty, the dumbassery. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I went way too long. I went over, and I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I appreciate the support and the love and us walking through that kind of stuff. Bonnie, thank you so much. Reader's Digest is the version of the Daily Scoop. I try. We'll catch you up on this stuff. And you guys should be really happy with me today because I totally skipped a Russell Brand video because it was fucking 16 minutes of horse shit. And god damn. I mean, it's tempting, but fuck that dude. Oh, it's so aggravating. And it's just, even the title is fucking aggravating. It was literally titled, "They Can't Hide This Anymore." Fucking, there's certain words I want, and all deference to people who use they, them pronouns, I want they and them stricken from the fucking English language at this point. Because they're all just paranoia huff words. Ugh. Yeah, we'd be here until dawn, exactly. So, anyways, love you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Remember, the Thursday show is on at 4 o'clock. It's an hour later than normal because I do family FaceTime with my family, and that was happening before the show, and family first. That's how we do it. So, anyways, I adore you guys, and we will, by the way, as these details come out, we'll walk through them without fear or favor. We can look at them because I'm not worried, for fuck's sake. And neither should you shouldn't be either. Like, look at the week the Republicans have had in the House so far. They passed the rules and then proceeded to break them. They were supposed to have a 72-hour rule on everything presented as a bill, and they just started voting on shit immediately. They're voting on anti-abortion bills this week. Shit that has not been posted for 72 hours. Just garbage. It's nonsense. They're going to flap around for the next year doing this same shit. And when it comes time for the debt ceiling, they're going to pass it. McCarthy is going to, Biden is going to cut things from the budget slowly but surely against the wailing and gnashing of teeth of some of the far edges of his own party. And Republicans are going to take credit for that. And then by the time the debt ceiling rolls around, they're going to, we've cut enough and we've lowered it and the deficit's gone down. So we feel like this is, just one last time. I guarantee. And then next year, we're totally going to balance the budget and we won't even have to do it. I got news for you. Even Laura Ingraham in that video we watched tonight knew that this was the same kind of bullshit you see every day. And I love it. Why wear pants if they're always on fire? It's a good question, K-Link. I'm gonna have to, because the testicle tanning. No, that's roasting. That's nuts roasting on it. Okay. Anyways, you guys are lovely. I'll say goodnight. It's going to turn into a Midwestern goodbye. Much love. See you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, bye.